Blessings witches, it's good to see you again, and for those that don't know me, I am Lady Amaris. I am the leader of my coven, the Circle of Hagar, which has been running for about 15 years now, and I've been a practicing witch for about 35 years, both solitary and in a coven. In this video we will be discussing what to do and what to look out for when looking for a coven. This video will probably be another long one, and I do have timestamps in the description below, so let's get started. Number 1, start off solitary. Now, I can hear you now, I am solitary, I started that way, I know, don't know any witches, next tip, done, tick, let's go. But before you skip ahead, just wait a minute. What you do in the beginning of your journey can mean the difference between having a wonderful, positive, transformative experience with the path of the witch or a not so great one, making you wish that you didn't run ahead and on the path and in this video. Now, we are going to start with some hard truths. Witchcraft is not for everyone. It is a hard road and it takes commitment and dedication. It is not all black cats, black hats and pentagrams. Witchcraft is popular right now, but it won't be forever. Its popularity comes in cycles, and right now we're on an upcycle. But what happens when it's not cool or trending to be a witch? Do you have what it takes to stay the course? Or are you going to throw your candles, athema, oils, tarot cards, crystals into a box and forget about them and then jump on the next cool and trending thing that comes along? This is your time to find out. Witchcraft, at its core, is a solitary path. You have the foundation core competencies that all studiers of magic, no matter the tradition, need to know and master. Meditation, concentration, focus, visualization, energy raising and control, grounding, discipline, space clearing and banishing. No one can meditate for you, just the same as not doing your banishing, grounding and focusing exercises and just say you did. Well, no one's going to know, well, except you and maybe the group that you're with. They'll find out pretty quickly. Your, too hard, couldn't be bothered attitude could, depending on what was being done at the ritual at the time, be draining the circle of energy, thus being ineffective magic work, or it could expose the group to harmful energies. Being a solitary witch requires you to cultivate self-discipline, doing the hard stuff, the repetitive stuff, stuff that hones and shapes your skills as a witch. No one can do that for you. No one can walk your path for you. You must learn to rely on yourself. As I said in my previous video, 13 Things New Witches Should Know, being a solitary gives you the chance to find out what kind of witch you are, what style of magic do you like and excel at, and what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and where your interests actually lie. When I started, there was not the abundant wealth of information at my fingertips that you have today. I had to search bloody hard, save up and buy the books that I could find, and use my own intuition and connect with spirits and deities. It was hard and rewarding. Nothing was just handed to me on a platter. I had to work it out for myself. I would have killed to have the access to the information that new witches have today. But then I would not have cultivated the imagination, the self-confidence, the discernment, and the drive to understand and know that I have today. My witchcraft knowledge is hard-won and means more to me because I earned it. with my time, my dedication, my blood, my sweat, and my tears. So to start your journey as a solitary, research, research, research. Learn to discern good information from not so good information or misleading information. Learn the core competencies and practice them. Find a tradition or system of magic that interests you right now and work it for at least a year, going through and following the moons, following any holy days that is part of that tradition. Many books and information that you have on different traditions have workbooks for beginners, and that can help and guide you as you go. Start with some shadow work. Find out what makes you tick, your strengths, your weaknesses, your thoughts and your beliefs. Where do they come from? Who gave them to you? Why do you believe what you believe? Build yourself a strong witch body that you can step into. One that is strong of mind, self-reliant, intuitive, and knowledgeable. So that in the future, when you find a group that you think that you might be able to work with, you have a solid spiritual, mental, and knowledge base foundation. And if you don't find a group, that's okay, because you have developed yourself, your self-reliance, and your knowledge base. It's good to have others to work with of like mind, but it's not necessary for witchcraft. Now, after a year, if you have managed to stay the course and you are still practicing witchcraft, awesome. It's a great club. Welcome. And if not, that's okay. You gave it a go and it was not for you. Remember, I said witchcraft is not for everyone. At least you didn't commit yourself to a group before working that out. Time to look for a coven. Just as witchcraft is not for everyone, a coven is not for every witch. So what kind of coven are you looking for? Let's break it down to a few basic types. The Teaching Coven. A Teaching Coven is just what it says on the box. The coven takes in a novice witch and trains them in the tradition of that coven. The novice will go through basic training, the core competencies, banishing, meditation, energy work, etc. The thing to remember here is that you are learning a tradition. There are things that the coven may do that are different to what you did or what other covens do. And this is your opportunity to add some new techniques and skills to your repertoire. You have to leave your ego at the door. And yes, you may have spent a year of doing these things, but the other members of the coven don't know that. Everyone starts at the same place. You show that you are competent to the group by doing the work. Show you have a grasp of the concepts and can perform the basic rituals. Anyone can say they have done something. They can say that they have this title or that title, but you have to work with the group. Be a part of the group. Work together as a well-oiled machine, where you are trusted to do your part. It's the old chestnut, show, don't tell. If you really have the skills, then it will show. In a teaching coven, they may have some form of level system, much like in schools. And some covens take this school idea to the extreme, others not so much. The level system may take the form of seeker, novice, first degree, second degree, third degree. In my coven, we have levels, but it is to denote the core competencies that have been achieved and what is to be expected from each level, what you are expected to do within the coven and within ritual. No one is better than anyone else. Many people get hung up on the whole degree thing, with a distorted belief in hierarchy, with members becoming competitive and elitist, working for the pat on the head or the gold star from the higher degrees or from the leader of the coven. But that is an ego thing, and you need to separate yourself from that and also keep an eye out for that and don't participate in it. With that said, Teaching covens are a great way to have a framework to work with in your craft, as well as a support system and accountability as you go, which is great if you find that you lack the self-discipline to do it on your own. Same-sex only covens, the sisterhood or the brotherhood. The sisterhood is good for women who don't feel safe or comfortable with men, women who prefer to work magic just with women. And the same goes with the brotherhood. Most of the time you will find that it is gay men who don't feel comfortable working magic with women in the circle and prefer to work with just men. When done right, these circles can be very healing and empowering, a coven that acts more like a social group. These are light on ritual and spellcasting and heavy on socialising. This group is more about getting together with like-minded people for a drink or a chat than they are about serious ritual work. So this may not be for someone who is looking for serious ritual work. The Wiccan Coven. This can be very similar in structure to a teaching coven. Traditionally, they would stem from either a Gardnerian or Alexandrian lineage. But just as there are many flavours and types of ice cream, there are many types of Wiccan-inspired covens. Wicca is usually seen as the religious arm of Western witchcraft. So these covens will have a form of worship and maybe some dogma that forms part of their coven system and magical workings. They will also strive to have a balance of males and females within their coven. The coven will also have a high priestess, sometimes referred to as a lady, or a high priest, sometimes referred to as a lord or the magistra, a maiden, and a man in black. A strict or a loose structure coven. This can apply to any type of coven, including the ones that I've mentioned before. For example, a strict coven may have a minimum attendance amount for moons, festivals, lessons, etc. You will consistently work with one deity or one deity pair or a certain set of spirits. Gatherings will have a strict set start time. You must be on time, and if not, then you'll be locked out of the ritual and sometimes the covendom as well. There may also be a coven first, family second, understanding, just to name a few. A loose or relaxed structured coven would be, say, no minimum attendance for gatherings. You come when you feel like it, you blow in, you blow out. It just depends on the situation. There is no commitment to the group, and there is no way of really knowing who's going to be in attendance at any time. The people that were there last month may not be attending this month. Rituals may also be more relaxed and also written by different people, calling on different energies, different deities at each time. There are pros and cons for each style, and the strictness or the relaxed nature of each coven or group can vary greatly. Strict covens may provide clear boundaries and guidelines for working in groups, and many people enjoy this framework. Problems can arise when a strict coven becomes too strict, controlling and interfering in your personal or family life. On the other hand, a relaxed structure to the coven can become so relaxed that the coven ceases to exist. With no consistency of the members or rituals, energies can become garbled or lose strength. And with no member vetting policy, just a whoever turns up on the day, you could run the risk of inviting shady characters into your energy space, or worse. The family style coven. Now, this can be anything from a closed family group tradition, such as Strager, or a coven that models themselves on the family group, such as Wiccan covens and other covens calling themselves clans. This style has the leader of the coven calling themselves mother or father, and other members being called sister or brother. This may be just up your alley if you're looking for a family, but if left unchecked, it can lead to members falling into familial patterns of sibling rivalry, childish behaviour, and favouritism. There are many other coven style groups, such as druidic covens, left-hand path groups, and ceremonial groups. This is more of a Golden Dawn style magic, less witchy folk magic stuff. And the list can go on. So that is just a basic rundown of a few styles of covens. Spend some time working on yourself and learning the craft that interests you will help you to better understand what type of coven you are looking for and what to expect when looking for a coven and what you expect to put into the coven as well. Where are all the covens? So now that you have a little bit of an idea as to what style of coven you think you may be interested in, but you're not sure where to find them. Even though in this day and age of telling everyone absolutely everything about our lives, there is still many groups that are private. You have to know the right people and be invited, just like it was in the old days. There are some covens that have their contact details on pagan and witchcraft community pages. Some will do what is known as an outer court or some kind of training lessons for new people. Others may call them an introduction to witchcraft. Some of these may be advertised on pagan or witchcraft community pages, others will not. The best thing that I can say is for you to find your local pagan and witchcraft shops or look into online community groups and when they have meetups or coffee clubs or some kind of camp that may be in your area. Then you can have your ear to the ground when you're meeting with some of these people, as no doubt many of them will already be in groups, and you'll be able to see if you gel with some of these people and if there happens to be any courses or intake involved at any time. Here in Perth, we have what's known as the Combined Covens, which is a group of covens that get together for social events. There is a spring camp, there is monthly coffee club meetings and other events that are organised throughout the year. So if you're in Perth, WA, and you want to connect with other witches, they are a good place to start. Just a disclaimer though, not all of the covens in the group go to every event, and not all of the covens in Perth are part of the Combined Covens. I've found a group, now what do I do? This will all depend on the type of group. If it is a relaxed spiritual circle group, then it may be just as easy as letting them know and they invite you to the next meeting. If it is a stricter, more traditional style coven, then you may have to wait for them to run their next outer court or beginner witchcraft course, or if they hold open festivals that you would be able to attend. See if you can obtain the contact details for that coven. This may be the email of the leader of the coven, the high priest or high priestess, or the maiden, or the man in black. Even if you have talked to them personally, I advise sending them an email, letting them know that you are interested in knowing more about their coven and that you have met some of the members and you get on quite well with them and you think that you'd be a good fit. When and if they are looking for new members, you would like to be considered. They don't need to hear your life story or how your great-grandmother had the sight and you come from a long line of witches. Treat it like an email for a job interview. Make it short and concise. Just state your interest in the coven, your witchcraft interests, what study that you have been doing and how long that you have been practicing. If you have been a member of a coven or a group before, state the coven, what level you attained, if applicable, and why you left. Don't air others' dirty laundry, just remember, short and concise. So you send off the letter and you wait. You wait. and you wait. Be patient. In our current age of text and instant messaging, we have become accustomed to instant responses. Please remember that these people may not check that email address daily. They may be quite busy, and they may have other email requests that they need to handle. If you are attending a meetup or a gathering and you know that person will be there, just casually let them know that you sent them an email, and that will be a little bit of a prompt for them to just have a look just in case they've missed it. If it is a tight-knit group, they may need to run the request over with other members of the coven before giving you the go-ahead. So give it a bit of time. Don't hound them for a reply. If you haven't received a reply after 3 or 4 weeks, send another email, a gentle reminder saying that you are still interested and your email may have been overlooked in cyberspace. Anything can happen. Oh, and side note, don't be pushy. Just because you have expressed an interest in joining the group or the coven does not mean that they are obliged to accept you. Now, if you get to the induction phase, this could take the form of an outer court or the introduction to witchcraft lessons that the coven are holding. The coven will be working out if you are a good fit for that group. And at the same time, you will be looking to see if they are a good fit for you. Your prior self-training will help you to make the right decision. Don't let your want or need to be part of a group cloud your judgment. Don't make rash decisions because you are afraid that you will not find another coven. There will always be another coven if you want one in the future. Keep a level head. In the honeymoon phase, everyone is on their best behaviour. So look with your witch eyes. Look past the glitter. Being in a coven that is not good for you can be damaging to your health, and worse than being a witch alone. Red flags. As I said, covens are not for all witches, and some things covens do are also not for all witches. So let's find out what is the best fit for you. One person's red flag can be another person's woohoo! So no judgment on the red flags. And many of these can apply to any social group, not just covens. Your local book club, sewing circle, could have many of these things. Big groups are not always better groups. You can hide more in a big group. If you are unable to attend a meeting, your energy will not be missed as much as in a small group. You can easily hide and be more of a bystander in rituals. As you find in a bigger group, it will always be those core few that do most of the work. The 80-20 rule usually applies. If this is what you want, then great. But if you want to have more of an active role, you then have to make sure that you become part of that 20% of the coven. In smaller covens, you can expect to have a more active role. If you are not at a meeting, your energy will be missed, as your position is not as easily filled like it would be in a large coven. This is because smaller covens may also have a stricter attendance policy than larger covens. Larger groups can also develop small cliques within the group that could lead to rivalry if not kept in check. Consistent membership. Covens are living organisms. They grow and hive off. They may be in bloom 1 year or pruned to remove dead weight or prevent infected leaves from damaging the roots. Is there consistency in the membership though? Now this may not work if the circle is quite loose with attendance. The come as you feel like group, where members come and go and people may not be there 1 month and they're the next. If this is okay and what you're looking for, then great. But most covens, especially more traditional kind, consistency is the key. As I said, a coven is a living organism with everyone's energies combining to create a strong bond for working magic. It requires trust, connection, commitment, a meshing of energies that does not happen if the group is a revolving door, with energies not being harmonized and sometimes working against the actual working performed. Queen bees and wannabees. This is the dark side of female-only covens. Toxic femininity is a thing. Some covens may develop a queen bee and other members buzzing around like royal attendees. You can also have the wannabees that sow seeds of discontent, believing they should have the top spot, with different sides pointing fingers at different sides. Not healthy and not conducive to great magic. This is not only a female thing though. Male-only covens with mostly gay members can tap into this toxic female side of themselves and display similar dynamics also. The trick here is to see it early on and to have a solid self-esteem so as not to be dragged into the drama. Toxic group members like this play on your insecurities about being alone and not finding another group. There could be a love bombing period where you are the special one, given presents and included into everything, until the next new person comes along and you are left to buzz around or drink down the wannabe's poison. This leads us to the cult-like behaviour. As I said previously about the toxic femininity, this is where you need to have a level head. You need to have developed your self-esteem and learn to discern instincts. Cults and narcissists like to target naive people with low self-esteem who have the need to belong or are looking for a surrogate family. It may start with love bombing of a new member. You are the special one. You get presents and praise. Everyone is so nice. Your best friend, the leader of the coven may decide to take you under their wing because they see something special in you. They understand you and want to help you. You get invited to more and more things. Your whole week is coven activities. You haven't seen your family or friends in weeks, months. Then, when you have cut ties with your life outside the coven or have been initiated, the dynamic changes and you get the mental abuse, the further erosion of your self-esteem, where everything is the coven and you believe unquestioningly what the coven tells you. Remember, this can happen not only in covens, but any type of group, a church group, sewing circles, activist groups, you name it. So don't let your need to belong cloud your judgment. Please, don't get me wrong. I don't want you to become cynical and view anyone who is nice as a sign of being in a cult or someone trying to manipulate you. There are nice people out there and nice covens who are genuine and genuinely want to help you. You may have an instant connection and know that these are your people, and that's great. I am just trying to encourage you to use your intuition and not to be glamoured and have that hard thud of buyer's remorse set in when you ignore the warning signs because you just wanted to be part of the group. The arrogant or bossy leader or leaders. This is someone that has put themselves up on a pedestal, who alludes to god or goddess-like status and who is your only link to the divine. They will be bossy, dogmatic and judgmental, whose word should be followed without question. There will be a sit down and shut up attitude, and if you do question, whoa, man, the hellfire that rains down on you, as they see any question as a personal attack. They will call you uneducated and I know the real, authentic way. Leaders like this will pit members against each other by withholding information or just giving misinformation, gossiping and moving the goalpost. These types of leaders demand complete loyalty to them, becoming very intrusive into your life, dictating what you can and can't eat, who you can socialize with, driving wedges between you and your family or friends, encouraging you to give all your money to the coven, making you dependent on the coven and the leader. Many of these red flags you should notice ahead of time. It all goes back to doing your own work in the beginning. Witches are individuals, even ones in a coven. Don't hand yourself over to the collective. Stay an individual. Don't hand your power over to an individual or a group. Ritual nudity or Skyclad covens. Now, before anyone comes at me in the comments, there is nothing wrong with nudity or ritual nudity in a coven. In a healthy coven, Skyclad rituals do not have any sexual expectations attached. I am placing this in the red flag section because for some it is a deal breaker. Not all covens practice ritual nudity or Skyclad rituals, so it is not hard to find a coven if that is not your thing, or vice versa. It is about being comfortable. If you are not comfortable, don't do it. And don't allow yourself to be pressured into doing it this is what authentic witches do. Most covens will tell you pretty early on if they are a Skyclad coven or not. If you are not sure, you should ask. Now, there are some rituals that do require people to be naked for brief periods of time. The initiation ritual is one of these. This should be discussed with you along with the reasons for the nudity and your questions and concerns answered ahead of time. The decision you make should fall on how comfortable you feel with it all, how long you have known the members of the coven and that will be in attendance, and if you feel comfortable with being naked in front of them for short periods of time. You should never feel pressured into doing something that you do not want to do. Sex, magic, and BDS&M covens. Now, once again, don't come at me in the comments. I am not saying there is anything wrong with sex magic or BDS&M. But if it is not your flavour, or you don't want to mix it with your witchcraft, then this type of coven is not for you. A coven that has BDS&M or sex magic components to their rituals should be disclosed to you in the beginning of your getting to know you phase. And any shame or coercion to get you to participate should not be tolerated. Sexual predators. These people come in all genders and sexual persuasions and infect all areas of society. Spiritual communities are not immune. In some cases, they are places where they thrive. Pagans and witches are very tolerant and understanding of sexuality. We have no problems talking about sex. It is a natural thing. But that tolerance and understanding should not be used as a tool to manipulate and shame you into doing anything that you do not want to do in the name of being spiritual. You may hear things like, if you were really spiritual, you would let go of your hang-ups. Just go with the flow. Let yourself be free. You have to have sex with me for it to be a real initiation, and so on. Many predators are attracted to witchcraft with the fantasy of orgies and hooking up with young sexy witches and setting up their own harem. Sexual harassment is not and should not be tolerated. Tell the leader of the coven if you are being harassed so that they are aware and can deal with the person. If it is the leader, then leave. You don't need that in your life. Also, let other members know why you are leaving. In regards to sexual assault, go to the police and report it. Many predators rely on the keep silent oath that many witches take regarding coven workings. Sexual harassment, sexual assault, physical assault, child abuse is not tolerated and should not be covered up as coven business. You see something, you say something. Now, after all of that sex talk and warnings, we have the minimum age for covens. The covens that I am aware of, including my own, have a minimum age of 18 years for coven membership. First off, this is because at 18, you are legally an adult and no longer a minor under the care and jurisdiction of your parents. You can make decisions for yourself. So if you are looking to join a coven that performs Skyclad rituals, sex magic and the like, you need to be old enough to provide informed consent. Next has to do with maturity. And to be honest, personally, I think 18 is still a little young. The average youngest member in my group has been around about 23, 24. So teenagers, I feel for you. It is not easy, but it is a great opportunity to study on your own and get some life experience before you commit yourself to a coven. Alternatively, you can have some like-minded friends and you can set up a study group to support each other and learn from each other. If you are under 18 and an adult coven is willing to initiate you into that group, knowing full well that you are underage, I would see that as a giant red flag. Allowing teens to attend workshops and outer courts is a different thing, but depending on the age of the teen, parental consent is still advised. After all of that, I hope I haven't put you off joining a coven. Being in a coven can be a magical and rewarding experience. It is all about working together with a group, feeling that energy, that amplification of energy, the extra energy when you are working in a cohesive group. In a coven, it is a different way of working. You have to think about each other and each other's energies. You are not solo. You are part of a group working together for the same goal. You are part of something. As I said before, not all covens are the same. There is one to suit every style and every person. And covens are not for everyone, and that's okay. So the takeaway here is develop yourself, your intuition, your self-esteem, your BS detector. Don't approach a prospective coven or any group with blinkers or rose-coloured glasses, and don't be afraid to walk away. There will always be another group for you, and if not, that's okay. The path of the witch, the development of the spirit, is a solo one. You will have others that walk with you at many times in your life and in your path. And at other times, you will walk alone. Walk it with pride. Coven or not, you are a witch. Wow, that was a lot to digest. And if I missed anything, please add it in the comments below. No coven bashing. If you had a bad experience, I am sorry. But as I said, covens are not for everyone. And there are good covens out there, even if you've had a bad experience. So, many blessings, and I will see you next time.